from the new Players League here is Zachary Watson, I'm going to call him Zach, at the top of the screen, White Thunder, up against Matt Powell at the bottom of the screen, Powell Matt. Matt Powell is the one recording this, so the cards that you see belong to him, and he's on an aggressive red strategy here. This is about the fifth time I've recorded a match this weekend, this round 1, and I think at least 4 of those 5 times somebody's been playing this red deck in standard. So it's a very popular deck. Wild Growth Walker gets you 3 life and +1/+1 whenever a creature explores, but unfortunately for Zach, he's not going to be doing that. As a Ballista comes down. But a pretty aggressive start from Matt. He's got him down to got Zach down to 12 already. This Uncrop Crash is going to push a bit more damage. I think I would have sacked a Firebrand there. He's going to exert the Uncrop Crasher, so that means he's not going to get the 3 damage next turn. I would have liked to sack the Firebrand to get the Ballista, and then he could push the 6 damage plus be untapped the next turn. It's probably not going to matter because he's got a pretty wide board, unless Zach's got a Settle the Wreckage, which he doesn't. He plays the second Ballista. So he can shoot it down off a Firebrand, use the other Firebrand to shoot the other one, and then swing... actually, no. So, yeah, he missed a chance there because the Crasher can't attack next turn. It's exerted. So that's the line he's going to take now. In response, he'll probably shoot down the Kenra. He does, yes. So he untaps. You can see he's missed the opportunity. Hazoret's probably not going to Hazoret's going to mean it's not going to make much difference here. He can swing the Hazoret, knock Zach down to 1, and then he'd have 3 haste threats the next turn, which I don't believe you could. Only Settle the Wreckage would save him from there. Although it's not going to make a difference because Hazoret can discard a card to do the 2 damage. So we're going to go to game 2 then. Matt Powell very quickly taking game 1 here. Unfortunately, we didn't really see what Zach was on in that first game. I suspect it's a home brew. So here's a Merfolk Branchwalker, can only find a land. Lightning Strike's a pretty aggressive play. You'll get the prowess trigger on the Soulscar Mage. Here's a Wild Growth Walker. I think that's the draw for the turn because he would have played that before the Branch Walker otherwise. And again, a Lightning Strike to take down the blocker. He'll play a Bowmat Courier. So it's a pretty aggressive deck. And this deck curves quite nicely as well. Okay, here's some stabilization for Zach. He's going to get three tokens, plus he can play an Adzokan Archer to take down the Bowmat Courier. Does the 1 damage when it enters the battlefield. Plenty of blockers now. So how's Matt Powell going to navigate this? He's going to select the Archer, so Archer can't block this turn. In they come. Would have been tempted to double block, but then especially when I've got another Shrum there, but he might have Zach might have something like a Oath of Ajani that's going to put +1 counters on all of these creatures as well. Plenty of Uncrop Crashes here for Matt. We've seen it in both games now. He's going to make sure to take down 1, block another. So he does have a pretty healthy board, but 2 cards in hand. He needs to find something. He's got the City's Blessing. He can start drawing cards with Orazka once he gets the 5th land. He needs to tap 5 to do that. He's going to cycle to look for something, and he finds a Grown Rights of Itlamok. So That's going to untap, so then he'll add 1 green for each creature he controls next turn when he attacks with 3. But for some strange reason, this is recorded by Matt Powell, and permanents of the opponent are appearing on the right-hand side. I've never seen that before. I don't know what that's about. I think he's drawn pretty much every Soulscar Mage he has. So you can see he's out. Matt Powell out of cards now. Zach Watson has 1 left. So this is a top deck. We're getting into top deck war here. Well, he can actually. I think he's missed. I don't know. He could have tapped the Etlamok Cradle there, and then used it the mana to draw something for Archivarozka. Because these Soulscar mages are starting to become a major problem now. Chef at Dunes can only function as a sorcery, so it's not going to save him at this particular point. You can see plenty of blockers, but they're all outclassed by these. You can see he's down to 4. I think he's about to die. That'll be able to push another point of damage, so I think that's actually... On to Modern now. After Matt Powell took down Standard 2-0, Zach Watson at the top of the screen will be looking to get back into this one with some points. We saw Zach on a brew in the first one. We're looking at Matt Powell's cards here. I suspect he's on a brew. I'm not familiar with the deck he's playing. Siegegang Commander with Gemstone Caves. So maybe we're seeing 2 brews here. Noble Hierarch is the play from Matt Powell, so he's got Tormenting Voice. This deck I'm not familiar with. I don't know what Zach's on here, so I'm not going to try and guess at this stage. But he does have a Kitchen Finks on turn 2, so that's a handy play. What can Zach come up with? Oh, that's going to hurt. Blood Moon. Now, there is an out for him here, because you can see the Stirring Wildwood and the Ghost Quarter of the Field of Ruin all useless now. But what he can do is tap the Hierarch and Path to Exile his own creature. I mean, Kitchen Finks you don't really want to be Path to Exiling, but at least it can get him the land he requires. Here's Chandra. So Chandra here, if she minuses on Noble Hierarch, she's going to add 2 red, tap a Spirit Guide, and Snaring Bridge. Okay, nice play. I like that from Zach Watson. And that's pretty much a lockout. He's going to be able to swing the Noble Hierarch because it's a 0. The Exalted Trigger will go on the stack and get around in Snaring Bridge. But I don't see how he's going to answer the Blood Moon main deck. Because the problem is every swing of the Hierarch means he can't actually access his mana. So Blood Moon quite crushing here. And this is not going to work. He's going to swing at the Chandra, but it's only going to remove the counter that was just put on there. So I think what he needs, yeah, Zach's not mucking around. Get rid of that Noble Hierarch, lock him out of all of his mana. And I suspect we're going to game 2 pretty soon. So this is kind of a red prison deck. You can see no white mana there. I mean, Matt Powell was in a position he didn't have much choice. Swing the Noble Hierarch, he didn't have access to mana. Here's a second Blood Moon. Restoration Angel also hopeless. So it's some sort of mono red prison deck here. He's hard casting the Simian Spirit Guide. The question here is how much longer does Matt Powell want to keep doing this? It is a. It looks like he's only on a green-white deck, so there might be quite a few forests in this deck and plains as well. But Goblin Rebel Master. Okay, he's got a basic forest. There's one of the parts that he needs. The Chandra here can kind of threaten by swinging the Goblin because the Goblin has to attack, and then he can minus Chandra on the Restoration Angel when the Restoration Angel blocks. But because he's already activated Chandra this turn, so it's not going to work. This is pre-recorded by Matt Powell, so we can't see the lands for Zach. It's taken up 2 rows because his permanents are on the right-hand side. There's a Lenin Arbiter. Oh, okay, so it's kind of like a green-white taxes deck. And here's an emblem for Chandra, so this one's absolutely over. Excavate. I don't think he actually has any lands in his graveyard. Yeah, he's going to concede. So we're going to game 2 now. And when you're up, that's a super risky opening hand when you're up against a Blood Moon deck. What he can do here is Ghost Quarter on the next turn. Oh, turn 1 Blood Moon. He had 2 Simian Spirit Guides in hand. I think that's brutal. Now, I may be mistaken, but I believe this is a new rule, because he chose not to shock with the Temple Garden. I think the new rule is that that Temple Garden doesn't have that effect, but X-Mage has not yet found a way to fix that. But Blood Moon doing serious work. Oh, it's Sweltering Sun, so this is a pretty aggressive line from Zach, but he's getting rid of the source of mana while he can. Okay, Oblivion Ring will work. He just needs the white mana, that's all. Tormenting Voice to find some cards. You can see he's got all the pieces. He just needs he needs a white source, and then he's in business. And Snaring Bridge is something that he definitely has to deal with. Second Blood Moon, you can still deal with both. Ghost Quarter. So he's a lot of non-basics in this deck for Matt Powell. Gemstone Caverns would be a target for his Field of Ruin if Blood Moon wasn't in play. And now Chandra Torch of Defiance about to go to work. Oh, 2, 4, 6. He's got to discard now, so Leyline's gone. Actually, Matt Powell's just saying in chat he has 6 basics in the deck. He only needs 1 white. Yeah, Zach Watson saying you got a 1 in 10 chance of drawing one of your basics. He actually has to be a white one. Still discarding. He's down to 12, but Chandra's going to ultimate here, and that's going to seal the match. I'm yet to see somebody win through a Chandra ultimate. And we're about to head to Legacy. So we head to Legacy now. After both players took a game, 2 games to 0, so Matt Powell won Standard 2-0 and Zach Watson fought back and took Modern 2-0. Ironically, here's a ponder. Okay, I was going to say, ironically, Zach Watson won with a red prison deck in Modern, and it looks like Matt Powell has decided to play a red prison deck in Legacy. So he's going to give him a taste of his own medicine. Oh, and here's a turn 1 Mages to the Moon. We saw a turn 1 He says in chat, Matt Powell says, for the record, I was always going to play this legacy deck, but we saw in modern there was uh, a turn one Blood Moon as well. And this looks like this. Yeah, Zach's going to concede pretty early. I think he's just said in chat, I don't have a single basic in my deck. Matt Powell is apologising for some reason. I don't know why. He's just giving him back a bit of what he got in modern. Yeah, I think there's just a bit of friendly banter going on between these two guys. Matt says he likes his deck and legacy. I agree. I would be very interested in building this deck. So I don't like that play at all. Oh, okay, no, this is a joke. I was going to say I don't like playing Door of Destinies when you've clearly lost because you're going to tell the opponent what you got, but he's named Slug. I highly doubt he has Slug. Down comes Trinisphere, so this is just a massive lock. We're about to go to game 2 anytime now. Yeah, this is a deck. I mean, you can buy the City of Traders is quite expensive, but a lot of the cards you can put together quite cheaply. You need the Chalice of the Voids, which are about $50 each. And Snaring Bridges can be had for about $30 each now, I think, with the reprint. But okay, he played a Sliver Hive there, so that's probably suggesting telling the opponent what he's on. I probably would have just conceded, but we're going to go to game 2 now. Yeah, he gave away free information. But if he doesn't have any basics in his deck, as he admitted in the first game, Zach Watson said, I think this is going to be an incredibly hard matchup to win. Plays the Sliver Hive turn 1, and there's no turn 1 Blood Moon this time, or Mages of the Moon. Muscle Sliver. All slivers get +1/+1. And I've covered quite a few legacy matches. This is the first time I've actually seen a sliver deck in legacy, so this is quite interesting. Oh, he's got Force of Will to stop the Blood Moon. Exiling the Crystalline Sliver. Unfortunately, there's a second Blood Moon on the way. Now, he's got 9 power on the board, so even he could actually win this through the Blood Moon. So a bit to think about here for Matt Powell. Sin Prodder. That's a card that I really liked when it was spoiled, but he's got the Fiery Confluence to wipe the board here. Sin Prodder is really cool. I liked it when it was spoiled, but it just never really did anything. People experimented in company decks and modern, but that was about it. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get to see it do its stuff here. It looks like a pretty cruisy victory here for Matt Powell. He's heading towards a 2-0 win. So that means he's going to take the match 2-1 after Zach Watson took down Modern. Pia and Kieran, yeah, this is inevitable now. Yeah, Zach says I thought I had this game. I think he did until that Fiery Confluence. And down comes Sin Prodder. Sin Prodder trigger, actually. And so there it is. The match goes to Matt Powell. Just the inevitable damage to finish.